Hey basketball guys, we have news. Let's go to more news from the Golden State Warriors, but before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your. The Warriors certainly need more long-range shooters. And one player who has the potential to help the Warriors in the rotation or even as a starter is Tyler Herro. He has already demonstrated skills that could greatly contribute to Stephen Curry. Rumors: Warriors are interested in Tyler Herro. Sunday was unpleasant for the Golden State Warriors and their fanbase. The Dubs knew they were in a win-and-you-rein situation against the Los Angeles Clippers, but they failed to rise to the occasion in front of their home crowd. The Warriors must prevail in the play-in tournament to advance to the playoffs following their devastating 124-119 overtime loss. 2 losses in the play-in tournament or an uneventful postseason could motivate Golden State to bolster its roster in free agency. An Eastern Conference All-Star in his prime may interest the Warriors this summer, making Jonathan Kuminga a legitimate sign-and-trade option for the franchise. Under unfortunate circumstances, Tyler Herro has been phenomenal for the Miami Heat this year. The Kentucky product was likely hoping to finish the year alongside Jimmy Butler. However, the disgruntled 6-time All-Star left South Beach in early February, giving Herro one less dynamic offensive weapon to work with. Still, the drama surrounding the Heat's organization didn't faze Herro during the regular season. The 25-year-old stud averaged 23.9 points, 5.5 assists, and 5.2 rebounds per game, shooting 47.2% from the field and 37.5% from 3 in 77 contests. However, recent rumors suggest Miami could part with Herro after the 2024-25 campaign. This may be somewhat of a popular take amongst Miami Heat fans, who have continued to turn on each other after the civil war that was sparked by Jimmy Butler this past season, but I do believe this front office should aggressively explore the option of trading Tyler Herro this offseason, Sir Charles in Charges wrote Sunday. Look, the Heat have given Herro everything he's needed to succeed. And, to a certain extent, it worked. Herro made the All-Star team this season and had a pretty good year overall. However, as the number 1 or even 2 option, Herro has not proven to be a needle mover. In the right role, Herro could be a very good and effective player in the league. For the Heat, they simply don't have a need for Herro until they can figure out who their every night number 1 or 2 options are going to be. Herro is a very good player, he's not a superstar. And the Heat paying him as such is not smart at all. If Herro becomes available in the offseason, he will have plenty of suitors prepared to complete a beneficial deal for both parties involved. Herro's steadiness from beyond the arc, 38.2% career three-point shooter, NBA Finals experience with Miami, and supreme confidence as a go-to perimeter scorer could make him a solid fit for the Dubs. Kuminga is moving backward after starting the year with promise, giving Golden State an incentive to move on from him after 4 seasons. Herro could become a primary trade target for the Warriors in free agency. Podziemski out of Warriors playoff spotlight but on the spot. When the Warriors step into the NBA playoffs Sunday, the eyes of Planet Hoops will focus on Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler III and Draymond Green. Yet their youngest teammate, Brandon Podziemski, knows he'll be in the corners of those eyes. The haters will keep him in view, anticipating failure so they can say, "We told you he shouldn't be on the floor." The believers will be vigilant, hoping for success, so they can say, "Maybe now you understand why he's playing." Podziemski scans social media and is aware of the chatter, some of it rational, such as those signaling that he's a bit too audacious for a 22-year-old in his second NBA season. Much of it, however, is from unnerved folks venting from afar behind a keyboard. Taking advice from Paige Buchers, the former UConn star who was the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 WNBA draft, Podziemski insists he ignores the noise. "She just told me never take criticism from someone you wouldn't ask for advice from," he says. "So, I kind of just took that. Seeing random people say things good or bad, if I wouldn't ask for advice from them, why would I accept their criticism? I know my circle. I know the Warriors. They always have my best interests and are going to do things that are best for me." Golden State's stance on Podziemski is solid. There is organizational belief. That he has started the last 24 games, usually alongside Curry, Green, Butler and Moses Moody, is strong testimony. That lineup is 17-3 and provided the boost that lifted the Warriors into position for the playoffs. None of those 24 games were playoff games. Most of them, surely the last 9, were high-stakes affairs with playoff implications. Consider that stretch a primer of what's to come beginning this weekend against the Rockets in Houston. I've been able to feel it since the Memphis game in Memphis, April 1st, Podziemski says. Every game since then, except maybe Portland, has been like that. You can feel it. People have asked me, is there any pressure in those situations, knowing you're with Steph, Jimmy, and Dre out there a lot of the time? For me, there's no pressure if you don't set an expectation for yourself in terms of making or missing a shot. You just go in there, open-minded and play instinctually, which I know I'm really good at. And just kind of live with the results. And so that just kind of cleared my mind of having any pressure. Coach Steve Kerr trusts Podziemski and has been willing to let him play through mistakes, mostly because he doesn't make many of the mindless variety. Yes, he is prone to over-dribbling. Yes, he sometimes struggles to keep his man from exploding toward the rim. There is a reason Moody gets those assignments. But the Warriors benefit from Podziemski's general court awareness and grit. If he's shooting well, it's a welcome bonus. They're 15-6 when he scores 15 or more points. He was 4th on the team in rebounding and 7th among all NBA guards. He tends to find ways to make a positive impact. Podziemski has studied Kerr's flexible coaching patterns in the postseason enough to know his starting role is not guaranteed. If he starts game 1, he'll have to earn it every game thereafter. I know it's going to be, maybe not the smoothest ride to a championship in terms of my individual success, Podziemski says. But I know Coach knows that he can count on me to make plays down the stretch and help us win games. So, I don't really look too much into that. I just try to go out there and maximize my minutes. Making shots is a part of that. Any team that's won a championship in the history of the game, every team has their stars that perform, and the teams that have the most consistent role players that step up every night from the playoffs win the championships. Podziemski's task is offense first, to balance playmaking with getting buckets. Defensively, he'll be asked to stay solid enough to avoid being cooked repeatedly. The Warriors can live with mediocre offense if he holds his own defensively. He'll have to go nuclear on offense to stay on the floor if he's leaky on defense. And don't think for a minute that the keyboard gangsters will spare Podziemski if he shows any indication of being unable to meet the moment in his first foray into the playoffs. Stephen Curry and DPOY candidate headline matchups to define Warriors-Rockets series. These are going to be pivotal. While it may have been a grind, the Golden State Warriors finally punched their ticket to the NBA playoffs with a win over the Memphis Grizzlies on Tuesday night. Even though the final few games of the season were a bit rocky, the slate is now clean and the Warriors have a solid opportunity to make a deep playoff run, with the Houston Rockets the first team standing in their way. The Rockets are a very familiar playoff foe for the Warriors, but this isn't the James Harden-led team from the late 2010s. The new Rockets are young, hungry, and are looking to cement themselves as a factor in the Western Conference for years to come. A pair of individual matchups could define outcome of Warriors-Rockets. The biggest defining matchup for the Warriors-Rockets series is Amen Thompson versus Stephen Curry. The last time the two teams met, Houston tried putting their young defensive ace on Curry, and it was wildly successful. A win in that game was key for the Warriors' attempt at avoiding the play-in tournament, but Thompson's defense on Curry shut the Warriors down as the 2x MVP went just 1 of 10 in the game and only scored 3 points. Obviously, the whole series isn't going to look like that. No defender has ever truly figured out how to shut down Curry, besides a game here and there. Over a full playoff series, we can expect the Warriors coaching staff and Curry to figure out how to overcome Thompson's defense. Still, if Houston's defensive ace can limit the 37-year-old for multiple games in the series, Golden State are going to have some trouble. The next most crucial matchup figures in the front court where the Rockets are bigger and more athletic. Alperen Sengun and Steven Adams are big bodies down low, and Jabari Smith Jr. and Thompson have the length and athleticism that can trouble the Warriors on both ends of the floor. A huge factor in this series is whether Draymond Green can contain Sengun, and if the rest of the Warriors can help keep players like Adams off the glass. Sengun is an all-star offensive talent, and when he's feeling it, the 22-year-old can be the fulcrum of the Houston offense with his scoring and playmaking out of the post. However, Green and Golden State have held Sengun in check pretty well this season. Sengun finished the regular season averaging 19.1 points, 10.3 rebounds, and 4.9 assists, shooting nearly 50% from the field. Yet against Green and the Warriors, he averaged only 17 points while shooting 47%. Although not a huge difference, keeping Sengun in check could be a defining factor in the series. Not only are the Curry-Thompson and Green-Sengun matchups set to be pivotal to the final series result, but they also typify the overall battle between an experienced, playoff-proven squad and one that's young, energetic and ready to make their mark.